Have you ever wondered what it's like if The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was a Pheonix Wright series game? No need to wonder anymore, because we have the hero of law. I am Gloomy, and I'm happy to have you here. It's so quiet. Do you think they forgot? Forget a royal visitation? No one could make such a blunder, princess. Well, I guess I should just go in then. March 17, 9:37 AM. Hyrule Grand Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. You'd think that after so many years of doing this, I'd be used to the stress. So why am I shaking? I guess it's a lot worse when it's your friend's life that's on the line. Come on, gotta look professional. She can't see you like this. Speaking of her though, where is she anyway? Hey, you there! Huh? What is it, attorney? The trial hasn't started yet. But it will be soon, right? Would you happen to know why my client isn't here yet? I didn't get to speak much with her when she was arrested, so I was hoping I could at least exchange a word with her now. Well, you weren't the only one with that idea. I believe she's currently in the prosecutor's lobby. He wanted to talk to her as well. What? What is up with that guy? He bars me from the crime scene, blocks my detention center visits, and now this. Not to worry, she will definitely be here before the trial. Great, that'll be a joyous 5 minutes indeed. But there's nothing I can do but wait. Sometime later. Okay, this is ridiculous. How much longer can he keep her? Ah, see, there she is. No need to get all worked up. Something wrong? Did I hear shouting? So much for looking professional. No, don't worry. Everything's, fine. This is Marlon. Ever since we met in Hyrule Castle Town all those years ago, we've been great friends. Her heart's in the right place. I know she cared deeply about her father. If everything's fine, why do you look so worried? Well, how did the investigation go? Did you find anything? Yes, the investigation found tons of, groundbreaking stuff. Particularly that my opponent's a real scumbag. What did the prosecutor want from you anyway? Well, it was mostly just threats. He kept explaining in detail what'll happen to me if I'm found guilty. Doesn't sound like a vital discussion that needed to happen right before the trial. He probably just did that so we wouldn't have as much time to talk. You believe in me, right? I didn't do it. I'd never. Of course I believe in you. Although, I'll be honest, things aren't looking very good right now. What's that you've got there? Oh, this is just a pictograph of Father I carry around. I just can't believe he's gone. I wish I knew how to cheer her up right now. I'm not very good at handling emotional clients. Hey, you know, a pictograph could be really useful for the trail. Oh, how so? Well, you look so happy together. I can present it to show that you two had a great relationship. You really think so? Ah well, here you go now. Melon's pictograph has been added to the court record. At least I'll be walking in there with something other than my badge. But wait, we shouldn't just be idly checking. Anyway, there's not much time left. I know it's hard to talk about. Could you tell me what actually happened? I don't stand much a chance if I don't know your version of the story. I understand. Unfortunately, there really isn't much. The trial is starting. Defendant attorney, please enter the courtroom at once. Uh-oh. I shouldn't have said that stuff about not having a chance. Alright, everything will be fine. The prosecutor has been playing with me, paying me for a fool since this began, but sooner or later his arrogance will be his undoing. Let's head inside. My name is Link. I've been a defense attorney for the last 7 years. I've won my fair share of cases and lost some too, but this one is personal. There's so much at stake here. Not only do I have to save Marlon's life, I've got to find out who did this to Talon. Talon. He was always so kind. He didn't deserve this. I need to do him justice. I can't lose this. Court is now in session for the trial of Marlon of Lon Branch. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Sincerely doubt about that. What were they thinking, pitting me against some pathetic kid? Pathetic kid? What gives you? Still your tongue. You bring shame upon the fine color of your hair, wild woman. Before long, the world shall know the horrible deeds you've committed. Let us prolong the inevitable. Shall we begin? Now. This court is no place to be exchanging insults. Since the prosecution seems ready as well, let's hear their opening statement. The opening statement shall also be the closing one. The girl did it, it's obvious. She killed her own father in cold blood. All she could have the wrench to herself. Couldn't wait for the old fool to die naturally, could you? You greedy little rat. I may or may not get some voices next up. Your Honor, you can't allow this man to verbally abuse the defendant like this. Ha! She committed murder, you kid. She deserves every bit of the scorn she gets. I do believe a little less commentary wouldn't go amiss. Bah! I assure you, old man, you will change your opinion once you see all of the damning evidence. Who is this guy? How can he speak to the judge like that? Ganondorf Drachmai. It looks like I've been lucky to avoid meeting this man until now. The stories I've heard about him must be true. A boorish barbarian of a man, hailing from the Gerudo province. Apparently he prides himself on a nearly clean streak he's cultivated for decades. All while disrespecting everyone in the court, including the judge. I've even heard some attorneys refer to him as the King of Evil. Definitely has that look at the very least. Who wears full armor to court? I gotta love the emotion that they managed to get out of this holy Link here. It's just so great. Very well. Please present your case to the court. Ha. You don't seem to like me talking, so I'll just let the detective present the basics. Bring Impa of the Sheikah force to the stand. Well, here we go, the first battle. I know Impa, she's quite a competent detective. Which worries me. Please let her have made a mistake, just this once. Alright, state your name and whatever it is you pretend to do. You never change, do you, prosecutor. Any possible change would be for the worse. Now, stop wasting time. Oh yeah. Oh man. Very well. I am Impa, head detective of the Sheikah Force, Homicide Division. True for now at last. Well, what are you waiting for? Start talking. You were the one assigned to this case, so you know all about it. What calamity has befallen our fair kingdom? Bill can't be bothered to give a proper opening statement. I suppose I can do the prosecutor's job for him this time, for the sake of an unbiased look. Please go ahead, detective. This incident happened early yesterday morning on London Ranch, a local supplier of goods located just south of the castle town. The current owner of the homestead, as Talon, was found dead in his ranch house. A tragic loss for our kingdom for sure. I have seen the man around Castletown a number of times delivering goods. Quite. The owner was a rather important figure in the local community. In any case, we were alerted to the scene of the murder by the royal guards who were there on official business. Official business? What kind? As I understand, the ranch provides the kingdom with vital services. To ensure it's operating as it should, and as a gesture of appreciation, the crown orders a visitation to the ranch every year. I see, a scheduled annual visit. To continue, detective. When the Sheikah Force arrived, they found the victim bleeding out onto the floor. Next to him lay his daughter, Malin, breathing but unresponsive. After a thorough investigation, we arrested her, and she was deemed as the only possible culprit. That about covers the gist of what happened. Very nice and sufficient. Keep that up and perhaps you will keep your job. I don't think the good detective here has to worry much about that, given she's the head of the department. Which reminds me, why is the head of detectives herself on a case like this? Were the other detectives unavailable? That would be because I have been assigned to this case by the order of King Hyrule himself. The king himself assigned you? It doesn't happen very often, does it? You are correct, Your Honor. I am not usually involved in field work like this. This time, however, the king felt it was necessary because of who is involved. Who is involved? Is the death of the ranch worker really such a concern for the king? Well, as I said, London Ranch is a very important supplier of goods, to be sure. But that's not who I meant. I imagine the king wanted a top investigator on this job because it was the royal princess herself who discovered the crime scene. Gotta love the random girl on over there on the stand. Order! I will have order! The royal Princess Zelda witnessed the crime? Ha! And there you have it. This case rides on the princess's own words. To doubt that it would be to doubt your own royalty. This is bad. I can't really object to that. Very well, if the princess is testifying today, it's better we don't make her needlessly wait. Detective, please testify about exactly why the defendant was arrested. Witness testimony. The reason for arrest. It is with regret that I agree with Trackmeyer that all the evidence points to this girl being the culprit. We determined that the murder definitely took place inside the ranch house. There were only 3 people on the ranch: the victim, the defendant, and a worker who has an alibi for the time of the crime. The defendant was found unconscious right in front of the victim, who was bleeding out onto the floor. Furthermore, she was holding a weapon. Without a doubt, that's what she used to kill the victim. She seems like a bright girl. It's most unfortunate. Your Honor, I would like to submit these pieces of evidence to the court. First, I have an autopsy report performed by the Crown's top coroner. Autopsy report has been added to the court record. Here's what we determined to be the murder weapon, which we took from the defendant's hands. A saw? You for real? A freaking saw? A handsaw at least? Dead? Let's see. That's a very unpractical weapon. Saw added to the court record. To make sure we had the correct weapon, we conducted a very thorough investigation. Naturally, we researched everyone and thoroughly examined the ranch and its vicinity. Nothing unusual was found, but to be safe, we also checked the ranch's inventory list to see whether anything was missing. The list matches the items we found on the ranch exactly, and nothing but the saw nothing but the saw had fresh blood on it. Ranch inventory added to the court record. That does sound quite compelling. This must have been a truly terrifying scene. Dying from a wound made by a weapon like this is extremely painful. And also, just one wound from a saw is difficult. You have to... What the heck? This only helps prove the defendant's viciousness. At this rate, they're going to paint Marlon as some heartless monster. There's one more thing I should mention for the sake of completeness. Shortly after we arrived at their ranch, a courier showed up to take some milk shipments. Of course, business must go on. Is this really necessary to enter the evidence, though? The shipments did end up leaving the ranch, so I feel it bears mentioning. Were the contents checked before you let them go? Naturally, who do you take us for? Even though the workers handling the shipments did get quite worked up about it, we cracked all the boxes open and checked what was inside. In the end, it turned out to only be milk bottles, so we let them through. Very well, thank you for your thoroughness, detective. Milk shipments added to the court record. So, what happens now? Well, this is where I step in to perform a cross-examination. Ah, great! How does that work? Could you explain what you're going to be doing? Can't hurt to get over this again. Sure, why not? The witness will repeat her testimony. I'll be able to scroll back and forth through the individual statements by pressing A and B, or with yes, you just... Yeah, by pressing A and B. Imagine standing in the court and it's talking to you. Yeah, I press A and B on my controller. What? They'll just repeat it as many times as you want? That's right, I have to consider every little detail. Can't miss a thing. If I want more info about something, I can use L or Z to press the statement and ask the witness to express the question. Grill them for info. Yep, since the witness has come up with the answer on the spot, if they're lying, prompting for more info can make them slip up. Most importantly though, if I find something that doesn't line up with the evidence, I can press R to bring the court record. The court record is basically a list of all the evidence, right? Yes, I can open it at any time if I need to recheck the facts. After choosing the contradicting item, I'll press C up to raise an objection and present my doubts to the court. Oh, and I can not only present evidence but profiles as well. Profiles? The court record contains a list of all people involved too. I can switch between the evidence and profiles with R. If I need to review what's been said recently, I can also press star to see a history of messages. Ah, I see. That makes sense. What about makes sense? What that makes sense? Nothing about makes sense. You can't press start. Real life court. Oh god. Is the defense done whispering? Sorry. If he's so upset about it, why doesn't he just press the right to skip? The defense is ready to cross-examine the witness. Bah! A waste of time. I sincerely hope you're not implying that standard car procedure is a waste of time, Mr. Dragmeyer. In any case, we're ready, defense. Please begin the cross-examination. Yeah, like I said, I'm here and there messing up the voices. Sorry about that. The reason for arrest. It is with great regret that I agree with Dragmeyer. All the evidence points towards the girl being the culprit. We can press all. Hold it. What makes you think she's the culprit? Objection. She's just about to tell you. Keep quiet and listen. Right, sorry. Indeed, as I was saying, we determined the murder definitely took place inside a ranch house. There were only 3 people on the ranch. Oh yeah, we can press this then. 3 people, you say? I guess that would have to be Mr. Ingo. Let me stop you before you start getting too excited. If you had listened to the rest of what the detective said, you'd notice she mentioned an alibi. Indeed, we're pretty certain that the ranch worker couldn't have been involved. Well, what is that alibi then? You might remember that I brought up some outgoing milk shipments. Well, the worker Ingo was in charge of them. He left the ranch house first thing in the morning and was busy preparing the shipments after that. Is that so? Surely he could have gotten away from that for one real quick little murder. This wouldn't just be a quick little murder as you crudely put it. He'd have to have taken steps to hide his involvement too. There was definitely not enough time for that. Unfortunately, I agree. Preparing a shipment is a lot of work. You have to milk the cows, clean all the bottles, put the milk out into them, arrange them all in crates, and finally load it all up on the wagon. Usually I had to do it together with father to finish before the courier arrived. The shipments were already ready when we arrived at the ranch. When we checked the boxes, they were all fully loaded with filled milk bottles. So this Ingo was able to do work of 2 people all on his own? Isn't that a bit odd? Odd or not, he evidently did just that. Clearly he's a man dedicated to his job. Or perhaps the girl or her father are just very inefficient. This whole thing seems awfully suspicious if you ask me, but I guess I have nothing to dispute it with. The defendant was found unconscious right in front of the victim, who was bleeding onto the floor. Yeah, let's just quickly press that one. Melon fainted? Correct. We couldn't get her to wake for a long time. Eventually we decided to administer a healing fairy so she could be questioned. I guess finding the body was just that much of a shock, huh? Probably just pretending, trying to make it look like she had merely found the body. In any event, furthermore, she was holding a weapon without a doubt. That's what was used to kill the victim. She seems like the bright girl, most unfortunate. Let's press for the weapon then here. And how can you be so sure of this? Look at the autopsy report. Deep, irregular wound was made with a sharp metal object. The saw was the only sharp implement in the ranch house that could produce such a wound. And, as I've already mentioned, we also looked closely at all other sharp things on the ranch. None had recent blood on them. That still doesn't necessarily mean that the saw was the murder weapon. Maybe the real culprit hit the real one. Oh yeah? Prove it then. Show us the real murder weapon. Well, I definitely don't have any way to do that. Something bothers me about that saw. So you have nothing? What a waste of time. Let's quickly check out deep irregular wounds. Made with a sharp metal object, died from the loss of blood no later than 8 AM. Supposed murder weapon, found clean of blood. Why is it clean of blood? Was holding a weapon? Oh, wait a second. I haven't configured C, I guess. I'm just pausing quickly here. So, guess that didn't work. She sure is. We've known each other for years. Yet she murdered her father in cold blood. How curious. Perhaps you're just bad judge of character, both of you. No way. Just give me some time and I'm going to prove it. Huh. You see anything wrong yet? Well, usually it's difficult to find anything wrong with the basic facts of the case. That said, I do think I saw one small thing. Really? That's great! Sure is, because I've got to poke at all the holes I can find before the princess gets here. This is alright, this is alright. Alright, I really need to... Give me just a second here. Alright. I have to weirdly go into the court record, into the case, and present things from the court record menu out. I was getting confused about it. Huh, this seems like a fairly large oversight. So what I did was I quickly presented a saw from the court record onto the case where there was the murder weapon mentioned. I just want to make sure of something. The state the saw is currently in is how you found it at the crime scene. That's correct. That's strange, considering how much the victim bled and how deep the wound was. Why is there no blood on the supposed murder weapon? Ha, is that all you have? Huh? Naturally, the prosecution has an explanation for why the saw is clean. Behold, this cloth was found in the defendant's other hand. As you can plainly see, it is stained with blood. The defendant simply wiped the murder weapon as in a futile attempt to hide her involvement. Objection! If Malin is trying to hide her involvement, why didn't she just leave the crime scene? Ah! Obviously, she was trying to hide the body before the royal visitation arrived at the ranch. Unfortunately for her, it just so happened that the delegation arrived quite a bit earlier than scheduled. In a panic, she quickly wiped the saw off and pretended to faint to make it look like she just stumbled upon this scene. Young lady, things are not looking very good for you right now. The court accepts the bloody cloth into evidence. Bloody glove has been added to the court record. So, what's the story with this cloth? Well, as I was doing the final check around the ranch, I noticed that a part of the fence around the horse paddock was damaged. I'm not entirely sure when that happened, but sometimes one of the horses just gets a bit rowdy, you know? Right. Anyway, I didn't want to bother Mr. Ingo about it, so I tried to cut up a new rail by myself to patch it up. But then the saw slipped and I cut my hand open. Oh goodness! Are you alright? Well, it wasn't that bad. It did bleed quite a lot though, so I used a cloth to quickly bandage the wound. I was actually going into the ranch house to ask Father to help me with the fence. Ha, a likely story. And impossible to verify now, of course. The Sheikah force had to use a ferry on the defendant to get her out of her supposed unconsciousness. I do have to give her some credit, she's a cunning woman. She knew that it would explain a sudden lack of any wound on her hand. Oh, why yes, ferries are wonderful. Just the other day I slammed my hand with a gravel, and one took the pain off immediately. Great. Glad to know they're used for such important things. But, dang it. Too bad there's no way to tell whose blood is on the glove. I do believe this matter has to be settled. I am ready to call my next witness. Uh-oh. That's just all I can get out of here. You are served your purpose, Sheikah. Be gone. Fine. But you had best treat Her Highness with respect, or I'll see to it that you spent the night in the dungeons. Do not presume to threaten me, Sheikah. A night of darkness and solitude would be nothing but comfort for me. Is that so? Then perhaps we should fill the dungeons with lit candles for the occasion. They're glaring daggers at each other. If this doesn't end soon, we're all in trouble. Order! Order! I am sure we'll treat the princess with utmost respect. You may step down, detective. This case has already made me weary with all the pointless jabber. The time is ripe to deal the final blow. I call Her Highness Princess Zelda of Hyrule to the stand. She looks awfully different. Oh, wow. Is something the matter? Why is everyone quiet all of a sudden? Your Highness. I believe we're all just a bit uncertain on how to proceed. It is quite the honor to have such an esteemed guest in these halls. In the face of the law, the princess is no different from a peasant. Name and occupation, now! The prosecution will behave. I will not have any derogatory statements directed at the princess. Derogatory? I simply wish to not waste any more time. We must employ proper procedure. Oh man. It is all right, detective. I believe the prosecution does have a point. In the eyes of the law, we are all equals. On the stand, I am just another witness. I should not be getting any special treatment. Very admirably, Your Highness. We can all rest easy knowing that Hyrule is destined to have such a wise monarch in the future. Yes, indeed. I eagerly await the day when our next ruler takes the throne and reshapes the kingdom in their image. You flatter me, prosecutor. Now then, I believe I was asked for my name and occupation. I am Zelda, current princess of Hyrule and the heir apparent to the throne. Marvelous, Your Highness. Before we begin, I would just like to know, why were you at London Ranch to witness this terrible incident? It is simple, really. London Ranch is Hyrule's Castletown's biggest food supplier. Not only that, but the ranch also equips Hyrule's royal guard with the finest of horses. Every year, the royal family makes a visit as a gesture of goodwill and to ensure the quality of the steeds. Oh, I didn't know your horses were used by the royal guard. Well, there's no other ranch around, so where do horses come from otherwise? Yep, we work hard every year to make sure they're in the best possible condition. Father loved to boast about it to the other ranch owners. Which other ranch owners? Ha! Knowing Talon, I'm sure he did. How unfortunate that the ranch no longer meet the Crown's high standards under new management. The royal family has a backup, I trust. We are looking for one. Naturally, those standards are quite high. Yes, of course. Now then, please describe what you saw on the day of the incident. Very well. Here I go. The scene behind the door. I arrived at London Ranch a little after 8 AM, accompanied by my loyal guards. I remember being surprised at how quiet everything was. There was nobody there to welcome us. I could sense that something was wrong. I opened the door to the ranch house and went inside. The room was mostly empty. There was a table with some kind of crystal bottle on top of it. But in front of the table, a terrifying scene was unveiling. The defendant hacked at the ranch's owner's chest with the saw she was holding. What? No. Nothing about it happened. I was overcome with fear and I screamed. I will never forget what I saw that day. I heard that Talon and his daughter were incredibly kind. I cannot believe she would commit such horrible violence. What? Oh my! You said at what very moment the victim was killed. There you go. A decisive testimony. As there is no need to doubt the prince's statements, I call for the judge to make a ruling right away. Objection! Hey now, hold on. I didn't get to cross-examine the witness yet. You haven't, fool, because there is no need. Did you not hear one word of what I said? And didn't you just say we should follow all the procedures and treat the princess like any other witness? This is the defense's right. You complete. I believe the defense has a point. They do have every right to perform a cross-examination no matter who is testifying. I was quite looking forward to this part myself. I have only ever read about court proceedings in the Royal Library. That being said, I will not tolerate any reckless accusation toward the princess. Is that clear? Naturally, Your Highness. Your Honor. How am I going to cross-examine the princess? This isn't going to end well. What's gotten into the prosecution? That seemed like a rather intense outburst. Well, I do have a guess. Oh. Because of the princess' status, it's possible that Regmire didn't have the opportunity to discuss her testimony with her. That might mean this testimony is a surprise even to him. This could be my chance. Before we begin, there is just one thing that caught my attention. I believe the princess mentioned seeing some kind of glass bottle on the crime scene. It will be this, I presume. Why yes, that exactly is it. What is that? Oh, this is the bottle of perfume that father intended to gift her highness when she arrived. He quickly rode it out of town to get it at last moment. We didn't know that the princess was coming instead of the king until only about 2 hours before the visitation. Oh, how thoughtful. He really did not need to bother himself so. As fascinating as this all is, the prosecution doesn't believe it's relevant to the case. It's good to have a full picture of the crime scene. The defense requests the bottle to be accepted into the evidence. Desperate to latch onto every little thing, are you? Whatever. You can add to evidence if it'll make you happy. No skin off my teeth. In that case, the court accepts the bottle as into evidence. Perfume bottle has been added to the court record. Now then, defense, begin your cross-examination. The scene behind the door. That's fine. It's also fine. Yeah, there's something that is absolutely... Yeah. No. You were there at the exact time of murder, Your Highness. That is correct. That's impossible, you're lying. The defendant will curb her outburst. You're addressing royalty. This is really bad. Now. Ask about the crime scene. Where were the victim and defendant at the time? The ranch owner was in front of a little table that is directly across from the entrance door. The defendant was right in front of him and quickly fainted after her attack. A large pool of blood started forming where the victim was. I had a rather good view of the whole scene. Right. It is unfortunate as it is fortunate that you could see the whole thing in such detail. No, please continue. Should I ask something else? Ask about what was outside. Are you sure there wasn't anyone else at the ranch, Your Highness? No, the place looked empty. Although, I did later see a worker pull up a loaded wagon when a courier came asking about milk shipments. He caused a little bit of a scene when the Sheikah force started inspecting it. That worker must have been somewhere else on the ranch, I suppose. The ranch is pretty large. Said worker was inside a building on the other side. It's quite understandable she wouldn't have seen him until later. Art. This really doesn't give me a whole lot of work with. Should I ask something else? Nope, that's enough. I heard Tal and his daughter were incredibly kind. Hold it. Trust your heart, Your Highness. You know Marlon didn't do this. What nonsense. Her heart? What do your organs have to do with anything? Oh, of course, evidence and testimony be damned, just because we feel the defendant must be innocent. Oh, well, if you're sure, then I declare today's verdict. Have you gone senile, old man? It was a joke, much like the arguments the defense has been presenting. I can't believe the princess would lie like this. Yeah, it really is shocking. You don't believe her, right? Even if she's the princess, that means nothing. I didn't do it. To trust the authority of your best friend. I'll need something very concrete to disprove what Princess is saying. Well, I wanna press that one. She said it's quiet. Have you conducted these royal visitations in the past, Your Highness? No. This was my first one. Up until last year, my father was always the one to visit London Ranch. However, he decided I had to start preparing for all the royal duties that await me, and so I was to do it this time. You will doubtlessly perform admirably as a ruler when the time comes. What happened when you got to the ranch house? I could sense something was wrong. And what then? Stop interrupting and let her get to the point. Defense. I believe I was clear about not badgering the witness. Brad, I need to calm down. Wait a second, the room was mostly empty. You paid attention to something like that after seeing a murder, Princess? Well, I spent a rather long time in there waiting for the Sheikah force to arrive. Plus, that bottle is quite beautiful. It just stood out. I guess we're going to need to do something about this one. That wouldn't make sense, though. I'm tending to use this. Oh, yeah, that's true. Melon probably couldn't wipe off the blade while the princess was watching. But it's not entirely out of the question. There's something much more damning in this testimony. I shouldn't play all my cards too early. Autopsy report. Deep irregular wound made from a sharp metal object. Victim died from loss of blood no later than 8 AM. Your Honor, Your Highness, I believe I found something that doesn't quite match up with the facts. How dare you question the princess? You will let the defense speak, prosecutor. I think I see why he's so desperate wanted to prevent this cross-examination now. Your Highness, you stated that you arrived at the ranch shortly after 8 AM, correct? Yes, the visitation was scheduled for 8:30 exactly, but we were quite a bit early. I see, that makes something you mentioned quite impossible. As stated by the autopsy report, the victim definitely died before 8 AM. You couldn't have seen the defendant attack the ranch owner when you arrived. Because the victim was already dead by then. Order! Order! Yes, you really caught her in a lie. Your Highness, what is the meaning of this? While I wholeheartedly respect and serve the crown, I will nonetheless not tolerate the lies in my court. I have not lied, I just bent the facts a bit. I suppose I did not see the exact moment it happened. I guess I only thought I did. Princess, this is a matter of life and death. I definitely saw the defendant there, though, along with the body. That there is no one else who could have done it. I remember all of the other details correctly. The bodies on the floor, the pool of blood. Wait a second, what was it? The bodies. You have to believe me, alright. Perhaps it'll be best if Her Highness revises her testimony. It's not good. There's still not enough doubt to overturn this testimony. I'll have to find something else or this case will be over. What I actually saw. I'm sorry for embellishing the truth a little bit. I did not see the actual moment of the attack. But it had to have happened shortly before I went into the ranch house. Miss Mellon and her father were the only ones at the scene of the crime, so she must be the culprit. I see. You only saw the aftermath of the scene, not the actual crime being committed. Very well. Hopefully there are no issues in your testimony this time. Defense, it is time for your cross-examination. Naturally, Your Honor. Dragmire still looks pretty angry. I bet he didn't expect just a blatant contradiction to pop up. If I could just find another one like that, the princess' testimony would become completely untrustworthy in the eyes of the judge. I'm sorry for embellishing the truth a little bit. Did not see the actual moment of the attack, but it had to have happened shortly. Let me press here, please. How can you be so sure of that, princess? Well, when I entered the ranch house, the victim still had the murder weapon embedded into her body. Into his body? What? 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 It is obvious what that means, isn't it? The killer did not even have enough time to try to hide a weapon. Yes, I might not have seen the murder firsthand, but I must have been very close to doing so. Oh my, this seems like a very important detail. I think it would be advisable for Her Highness to amend her testimony. Certainly, Your Honor. Interesting. Dragmire certainly doesn't look very happy about this development, does he? Thinking about it, I might just know why. The murder weapon was still stuck into the victim's body after all. That doesn't necessarily mean that my client was the one to do it, though. What if someone else snuck in before Melon and the princess arrived? Oh, well, I suppose. London Ranch is surrounded by high walls, and the only way in is through self-locking gate. Not very many people have the key to that gate, just a person on the crown. Well, someone could have forced their way in. Bah, if you wish to propose such a possibility, you must substantiate it with evidence. Do you have any proof that another person showed up at the ranch house before the princess? Do I? I don't have bingo. Let me try. I do, of course I do. The piece of evidence that shows another person was at the scene of the crime is... Take that! These are the traces of another person's on the scene. That just shows you have no trace of evidence to go on. Yes, Stephens, I'm afraid I can't really trace your logic. Well, you see, please try to keep at least a trace of amount of credibility. Ouch. Let me just quickly put that up. Are you sure Marlon was the only person there other than the victim? From what I call, there's an upstairs room at the ranch house. What if someone was hiding there? Don't be stupid, Defense. If someone was hiding up there, the Sheikah force would have found them. I stood guard at the door the entire time. No one could have left. What if they jumped out of the window? Don't be ridiculous. Those windows are very high up. Actually, those windows can't even be opened. They'd have to break one of the leaf. Right. Well, this is a little more plausible than the last testimony she gave. Yes, I suppose that matches the detective's accounts, doesn't it? Still, I feel like something here sticks out like a sore thumb. Yeah, the murder weapon. Out of the body. I believe I found another reason to doubt the witness's words. It seems the prosecution sees what I'm getting at here. There was blood cloth discovered at the scene of the crime. The prosecution has argued before that it was used to wipe the saw clean. If the princess saw the saw lodged into Talon's body and the crime scene was left intact, then it couldn't have been wiped. Well, Prosecutor Dragmire, care to explain? This is most perplexing. Your Highness, are you sure that's what you saw? Well, maybe the princess decided to pull the saw out and a valiant, yet futile attempt to save the victim. And then wipe the blade clean. That would be almost like framing the defendant. Of course I did no such thing. I made sure the crime scene stayed intact. I guess I must have made up the memory about the saw sticking out of Mr. Talon as well. You idiotic girl! Do you even realize what you've done through your bumbling? I am sorry. I was just so excited to stand as a witness in court just this once. Whenever I try telling my father about anything, he always seems so disinterested. Just this once I wanted to feel listened to. Oh, Pepet. The defendant is clear that she did it. I just wanted to play a larger part in her capture. I am sorry for the trouble I've caused you all. Your Highness, the court is no place for silly games. As it stands, I'm afraid we will have to strike your statements from the court record completely. I did it. The prosecution lost their key witness. No, please wait. I have more to say. I was wrong about the crime scene, but I still have not testified about what I saw afterwards. Ah, why would we care about that? It's best that you leave and stop damaging my case with your idiocy. Even if you are not interested in my words, you might be interested in the evidence I found. What? Huh? Evidence? Of course. While the Sheikah force investigated inside the ranch house, I looked around the rest of the ranch on my own. Sheikah, did you know about this? Huh. Of course I did. You did? I'll have your head for this. Order! Order! What is the meaning of this, detective? Wait. Why have you withheld this info from the court? It's quite simple. The princess specifically requested to present her finding on her own. Are you fuck? You have to be effing kidding me. What the freaking? You can't. This is not how investigations work. Oh God, you have to reality and their whims. What? And you dragged to this? You agreed to this? This court is not some playground where children decide where evidence should be presented just because they have a crown. He's being rude about it, but can't help but agree with Dragmire on this one. Also, I don't really buy the story. There's no way Impa would have allowed this. Believe me, I wasn't thrilled with the request either. However, after seeing the evidence in question, I didn't think it would be at all important to the case. Thus, I let the princess have her. This is highly irregular. I am not sure how to feel about this, prosecutor. Naturally I object to this nonsense. If the detective thinks it's irrelevant, then this is probably just a waste of time. All the evidence points to the defendant. It's still clear she did it, even without a witness at the scene. I see. Defense? What do we do? We object presenting the evidence and Dragmire loses his key witness. Plus, whatever the princess presents could be bad for our case too. So we should agree with the prosecution. Well, on the other hand, we don't really have much to go on. This could be our only lead left. Well, don't keep us waiting. Surely you won't throw away all the progress you've made thus far. What do I do? Let me request the evidence. I really hope this is the right choice. The defense requests that the evidence be presented. What? While I agree that the situation is irregular, we should still examine all evidence available. It would be silly to dismiss it as irrelevant without even seeing what it is. I do believe you have a point, defense. However, I must warn you, in order to admit this piece of evidence into the court record, the princess's statement that she found it must be admitted as testimony, along with everything else she might say. Yes, Your Honor, I am well aware. The defense wishes to give the princess just one more chance. Of all the idiotic... Order! Very well then. Your Highness, please testify once more about the new piece of evidence you found during your own investigation. Thank you. I will not let you down this time, I promise. The princess should understand the gravity of the situation at hand now. I just hope this new evidence isn't damaging our case. My findings. I wish to express my most heartfelt apologies for my mistake in the earlier testimonies. Upon entering the ranch house, I saw the defendant passed out in front of the victim who was bleeding out. I stood guard at the entrance of the ranch house until the Chica force arrived. Once the Chica started investigating the crime scene, I decided to take a look around the ranch. While I was walking near the silo, I noticed a strong odor in the air. I had to stop to see where it was coming from. I followed the scent and found a burned out fire nearby, and a small, nearly empty bottle of lamp oil. I, of course, took the bottle straight to the head detective. I don't think you did. And here it is. The oil bottle I found. Is something wrong? Oh no, this might actually be completely irrelevant. Yes, well, of course there is, foolish girl. Your great finding is some random fire on a ranch? Please. What next? Are you going to declare every rake on the premises suspicious? Well, the prosecution will calm down. This is bad. Your Honor, despite the fact that this evidence might not seem to add anything at the moment, the defense will still assert its right to cross-examination. Some straws have to be grasped. Why must you insist on this charade, defense? The princess has merely recounted the same view of the crime scene as the head detective. You haven't been able to find any contradictions in her statements. I believe there might be a way to tie the princess's new evidence into the case. Ridiculous. Regardless of what the prosecution thinks, the defense doesn't have a right to cross-examination. The court admits the oil bottle into the evidence. Oil bottle has been added to the court record. I just really hope this isn't a complete waste of time, defense. For both your sake, your own sake, and your clients. Oh boy. My findings. I wish to express my most heartfelt apologies for my mistakes in the early this morning, that's alright. Upon entering the ranch house, I saw the defendants passed out in front of the victim, that's alright. I stood guard at the entrance, that's alright. Once the Chica started investigating crime scene, I decided to take a look around, yes, that's alright. When I was walking near the silo, I noticed a strong odor in the air, that's interesting. What was that smell like? Oh, it was awful. Wait a second. A really terrible stench. Oh, surely you didn't mean to say that you found the smell of horse when you were suspicious. Do not be ridiculous. The smell was coming from the horses. I followed the scene and found a burned out fire nearby. A small, that's interesting as well. Give me that one. A fire, huh? Now, let me remind you, defense, that there's any number of reasons why a fire could have been there. You could still feel the cold grasp of death early in the morning. Princess, how long would you estimate the fire had been out before you found it? Alright, there was still smoke rising out of the ashes, so it must have been put out recently. So around the time of the crime. So someone prepared a breakfast there. I repeat, this fire is irrelevant. I think he's realized the same thing I did. Well, who was it? Who could have lit the fire anyway? It would have been the ranch worker who was putting the milk shipments together at the time. It was almost certainly him. If you really want to ask about his little barbecue, you might just get your wish soon. Doesn't sound like it was very appetizing. But without anything concrete to pin him on, you'd just be able to brush it off. I, of course, took the bottle straight to the head detective. That's alright. I'm not sure where to push her. Right, and she allowed you to present it. Well, I was the one who found it, and since I was going to the trail anyway. Utter ridiculousness. Ah, yes. Please make this last time you do something like this, Your Highness. Proper procedures exist for a reason. Yes, I understand. Do you have any idea why there would be a fire ranch that day? No, it's pretty odd. Then it sounds like it's definitely worth looking into, although it would be hard to link it to the crime in any way. In situations like these, getting as much info as possible is my best bet. Ah, that won't work. Let me push the other ones. You probably ones. You didn't just go home. The royal visitation was supposed to last longer. Father was not expecting us back at the castle until much later. I came to the ranch to examine the horses, so I suppose I could at least do that in the meantime. How long did it take to Sheikah arrive at the scene? It does take very long to make the trip from Hyrule Castletown to Longrong Ranch. I cannot imagine it was more than 20 minutes. It is pretty fast, although I imagine the fact that the princess was involved helped speed it up. Slowpokes, I would be there in half the time, running backwards even. I suppose it's no surprise though. Hylian horses are naturally inferior to our fine Gerudo steeds. The Gerudo buy horses from our ranch to dodge some bother. He's trying to rile you up. Saws, saddles, horseshoes, axes, brooms, onos. Did anything happen during that time? No, not that I recall. The guards did occasionally protest and ask me to let them take over, but I held my stance. Quite commendable in theory, staying in the same room as a dangerous killer isn't very wise. What if she woke up and lashed out at you? Sweet Hylia up above! The thought didn't occur to me. Of course not. Foolish girl. But the guards did stand close by. I would have been safe. Wonderful to see how much favor our princess has in her royal guard. Yes, of course I do. In any case. So I doubt that anything useful will come out of it, but I'm not happy with what I got here. Notice a strong odor in the air. I had to stop and see where it's coming from. Found the ranch burned out fire, has a tiny bit of oil inside. Let's just press that. This evidence reveals a clear contradiction. No, that does not. I must say I can't say I see anything clear there. The only thing that's clear here is your incompetence. Guess I must be in the wrong track. Oh boy. Was there anything else in the room? Only the beautiful little crystal bottle I mentioned before. The house was rather barren. Most of our things are on the top floor, since the downstairs room is mostly used for branch business these days. And the occasional game. Ah, of course. That's famous Coco game. The good old days. Is the defense done reminiscing? There will be plenty of time to do that when the defendant's behind bars. I was just trying to distract myself from the fact that there's nothing to latch onto here. Hold it, objection. There's no need to press the princess upon her apology. You only wasted the chances to throw out her testimony. Yes, defense. Let's get to the point. Yikes. Defense, I believe that is enough. It doesn't seem like you're getting any closer to finding a connection between this fire and the crime at all. No, I suppose not, Your Honor. Naturally, I have said this was a waste of time from the beginning. In that case, this cross-examination is over. Thank you for your time, Your Highness. I assume you have no more revelations to share with us? No, I do not. Really thought that fire would be important. Leave my sight. Enough! Your Highness, if you'd allowed me to escort you back to Hyrule Castle. Very well. Now that the princess' little game is over, we should move this along. The prosecution stance is still the same, of course. We maintain that the evidence on its own is enough to convict the defendant. I do believe I am nearly ready to hand down my verdict. But Your Honor, there's nothing that definitely shows that Melon committed a crime. This is all circumstantial. There's no way she could kill her own father. Ah, that is an excellent point, defense. The prosecution has yet to elaborate the defendant's motives. But patricide is not something a person commits lightly. I did briefly touch on the subject during my opening statement. You did? And you didn't say anything. You didn't state anything useful. You just randomly accused people of doing stuff and then cursed around a lot. But that, naturally, the prosecution is fully prepared to elaborate on the matter. I would like to call my third witness. It has to be that wrench worker. Before calling him in, though, the prosecution requests a brief recess to prepare. I thought you said you were already prepared. Maybe he wants to double-check that his new witness won't pull anything weird like the princess did. Very well. I do believe a break would benefit all us all. The court will reconvene after 15-minute recess. Court is adjourned. So, just in case, I am going to make a cut here, and I am going to show the other one. If it's longer than I think it is. If it's very short, I just keep it in. I'm just cutting this one out here. So, in case I will cut here, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.